broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.
And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for Jen Gaudet.
Welcome to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host, entrepreneur, international best-selling author and speaker. And I am here, why? Because I believe that iron sharpens iron. And when we bring all the things that are going well, the things that are working in our business, and maybe some of the things we wish we did differently to you, and you take action, you're able to elevate yourself, your life, your business. Why is that important? Well, because as entrepreneurs, as executives, when we elevate ourselves, when we up-level our businesses, the impact is tremendous. It flows into our families, our friends, our teams, our communities, and our world. I have three amazing guests here in studio with us today. I'm super excited to bring it to you. You're gonna wanna get your notebook and pen out because there's gonna be all kinds of goodness that you're gonna hear today. Without further ado, I'm gonna introduce guest number one. Beside me, I have Reagan Phillips, CEO and founder of Cure the Chaos, and by the way, best-selling author. Welcome to the show, Reagan.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm just thrilled, actually. So thank you for having me.
So tell me, Cure the Chaos, what's that about?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a professional organizer, and I've been doing it 18 years, but lately I really have wanted to take my business to a whole new level, and so I wrote a book, and it's called The Cure Method, and then I just developed a course so that I could help others, far and wide beyond Houston. So I'm very excited about that and bringing it more to, people who are struggling with organizing, and how can they get started? How can they be motivated to begin? So that's why I've been really, really working on this course to bring it to more of the masses. So I'm very excited.
I'm excited about it for you because we're all about maximizing the impact here. That's why we show up. Also joining us today is Paula Cook, business strategist. Welcome back, Paula.
Thank you. Glad to be here as a regular on Power CEOs, and as a business strategist, this is a great place for me to be, to share the wealth and knowledge with my experience and my journey in starting my business and then wanting to help others do the same. So I'm excited to be here today.
Always excited to have you on. And last but certainly not least, we also have joining us in studio today, Damian Power, Senior Loan Advisor at Motto Mortgage, First Choice. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Jen. It's great to be here. I appreciate it. I'm super excited. This is, an extra level of where I want to get to. I'm Senior Loan Advisor with a mortgage broker, Motto Mortgage, First Choice, out of New Braunfels. We're opening a new office in Houston. So we are expanding across Texas like crazy. One of the fastest growing mortgage brokerage is in Texas. And my position is, as a loan officer, I help people get loans for their homes, but I'm also there to help loan officers that are coming up behind me and grow their business as well.
That's fantastic. And so I really want to dive deep a little bit today. One of the things that we like to talk about is what it's like when we get started, then what it's like when we start to have that next level of success and how we're able to manage through this. And I know that, Reagan, you are in a state of growth. Damian is in a state of growth. Paula is always in a state of growth. And so I really want to hit that first because let's face it, right now the world is changing very rapidly. There's a lot of turmoil, there's a lot of stress in our day-to-day lives and things that are outside of our control. So how are you within your respective businesses able to grow? How is that impacting you and your growth strategy? And how are you able to motivate your teams? Because that's really important right now when there's so many external stressors as you grow. I think I'm gonna let Reagan kick it off first.
Okay. Well, we are definitely in growth mode. We're having even some scalability, problems because I'm exploding like crazy, and so I'm trying to find the right people that can, represent my brand is really, really important because we are very empathetic. We are dealing with people's personal stuff. We are coming in and we're changing lives. So I'm really, really careful who I bring into my business, and I need that to reflect my brand and who I am. So that scalability has been a little bit difficult because we are just expanding and growing, and even outside of residential, we're now, expanding into the corporate world. And I want to make sure that, we give this extremely high level of service. So that scalability, I think, is just, for me, a little bit challenging at this time. But keeping my team motivated, I mean, we're really busy, and I always want to keep the people that have been with me the longest, just keep them busy. I'm actually stepping a little bit away from the business so that I can give them more freedom to, do the things that they do, and they're creative. And I'm I think that's really hard as business owners, to give up that control and let your team, trust your team, and let them take over. But I'm at that point now where I'm like, okay, I need to be working on my business and not in my business, as you told me. So, we're just really working hard to make sure that we have that level of service forward, and that, I'm giving my team as much freedom as they need to go out and do what we do best, which is help people get organized and cure the chaos.
I love it. And I just want to, spoiler alert, that's why we have a coach, right?
Yes.
Because it's true. When we're in growth, when we're scaling, even when we're going from startup to our first 6 figures, or when we go for 6 to 7, having that external perspective is so huge. And talk to me, I want to, before we go to the next person, letting go. That is something that is common to all
really
high
hard.
performers. It's hard to let go because nobody does it as good as we do.
Right.
We are the best, all the things we tell ourselves. So how are you able to let go for the people who are watching, maybe struggling with the same?
Well, I've had to do it a little gradually, because I don't want to just go, hey, I'm not going to be there, because a lot of my clients are like, are you going to be here? They're a little nervous to go through this process, because they get really scared to start organizing. And I was like, there's really nothing to be afraid of. I mean, we're bringing in, tables, kind of laying things out, just seeing what's what. And we're really putting things in categories and then finding the right place for them. So, but a lot of people get very nervous about going through this, and they're extremely embarrassed on the beginning. And, I'm like, don't be embarrassed. It's just the fact that you didn't have a system set up, and we're just going to get you that system in place so that you can maintain it. And even if they falter or jump back, that's fine. We can go with that. We can help that maintenance, because let's face it, we're an extremely busy society. Moms are doing multiple things. They're working full time. They're raising children. It's really tough to keep up with even the household stuff. I mean, and not everybody, in my opinion, even myself included, can afford a household manager. So we kind of come in and help with that.
That's a business idea.
Right? I know. It might be some expansion.
Yes.
But yeah, getting out of that a little bit, it for me was more gradual, just because I need to make sure that my customers are taken care of, and that we have a good methodology moving forward. And we do. We've got a great methodology. The cure method we put in place, my team knows what it is. They can do it in their sleep, and the end result is always, it's going to be fabulous, because that's my brand, and that's what I want. I don't need perfection, but I will leave it that way. And my clients, I want them to be able to feel good in being able to keep up with something like that.
That's good.
Yeah, I know Paula has something to say on this.
Yes. Let's hear it, Paula.
Well, I think going back to your first question, Jen, was the only thing that's consistent, what we tell our clients, and from a strategy perspective, the only thing that's consistent is change. You can expect change every day of your life. When you wake up, your hair changes, your breath changes, all kinds of stuff changes overnight, right? So just getting up at the beginning of the day, things are going to change. So the only thing that's consistent is change. And we, from a strategy standpoint, we always want to have a plan for change. And we want to be able to change, and that may be growing, letting go, stepping back, moving forward, doing this better, doing that better. And so one of the ways that we let go, and one of the things that I do when we're bringing on team, is we inspect what we expect. So you give them something, and then you come back and you say, okay, how did that go, and what happened, and what can we do to change it, and what can we do to keep, what things do we want to keep? So one of the things that for people that are growing with team, I'm going to leave you with is inspect what you expect. And that was my biggest thing. That's why I was bubbling over to say that when Reagan was talking about her team. So
inspect what you expect. I love that.
I could just see it coming out.
Yes.
I didn't know what she was going to come out with, but she was just bubbling over in here. I
Yes.
love when we have that energy.
Yes.
And Damian, I could see you had something to weigh in too.
And yeah, bringing up the change in the last 4 years in the mortgage industry or real estate, I mean, we have gone through so many changes. When I got in, interest rates were higher than they are today, and they started creeping down. And I was like, oh, you know, business is going to get better because rates are getting better. And then COVID hit and rates bottomed out. But because of that, companies weren't making as much money. So a lot of the companies we were using went away, which changed our outlook. So, you know, and then COVID started getting better and all real estate started picking up again. And, you know, we had to change again. Now rates have shot up. Now we've got to change our target again. And I've been in this industry 4 years and I've had to change it, you know, 8-10 times. So it's you know, you got to aim for that target, but sometimes you got to come off it a little bit.
Yeah, and how in such a rapidly changing industry, how are you able to plan for contingencies? Because now you're scaling, you're opening another office, you have team, you're mentoring other team. How are you able to, number one, instill in yourself and do the strategic planning so you can plan for contingencies as best as possible, but then also empower your team to do the same and have that level of comfort through the change?
Yeah, that's tricky because even though I do help other loan officers, I've still got to push my business. So what I try to do is make a plan that I follow for a couple of months, learn from that, and then I can drop back down and teach them what I've done. Even though, you know, yeah, sometimes there's bumps in the road, but you know, then we learn from those as well. So we're all together, we're all got the same target at the end of the day. You know, we want the company to do well, even though technically ourselves are our own business, we still answer to, you know, a boss. So,
absolutely. And so if you're listening, what I'm hearing loud and clear is change is inevitable. Have a plan your contingencies. Stuff's going to happen outside of there, but basically as soon as you find what's working and can get it into a system, into something that's replicatable, that's when we're able to pass it on to our teams. And I think when we have that and when we've tried that, especially those of us who are smaller businesses, we do the testing ourselves, and then we train our team on what's working. And so how are we able to continue to motivate our teams when the systems change? Because I get this question a lot. And it comes up with most of my clients. Oh, what was working is no longer working. And there's resistance to changing the system in our team. So how are you handling that? Have you had that occur in your business, Damian?
a little bit, but the people that we deal with, or our customers, are such a wide range of ages that we don't have to target like one group of people. But if we target Gen Xers or millennials, we've got to do it slightly different than, you know, like the boomer generation. You know, it's more social media to the young people. It's more face to face with the older generation. So it's you know, we get to swerve a lot.
Lots of adaptability
Yeah.
in there. I hear be flexible. I think we've talked about this a lot on this show. What is important? Flexibility is important in entrepreneurship. Persistence. Adaptability, and then I call it moxie and grit, because when we're hit with everything external that we can't, there's a lot that's outside of our control. We couldn't control the pandemic.
No.
If someone would have given me a crystal ball and told me that was coming, I mean, like, imagine what the world would be like, but we couldn't predict certain things. So when we're adaptable and we hit that grit, and when we hit the ground and it's a rough day and everything's blown up, what do we do to pick ourselves up, to keep motivating not only ourselves but also our teams? I think that's incredibly important as skill set for anybody who's in executive leadership, anybody who has a team, and definitely for our entrepreneurs. So I kind of want to talk about that moment, because we all have it. We've all been through it. And if anybody tells you that entrepreneurship is all roses and that every day is going to be amazing, they're lying. It's not. My coaches and many of my peers will tell you that 50 to 60 good days in a year is $1 million in revenue, and you're set and doing fairly well along the way. But you know, I think that we all have days where we just want to throw in the towel. We're like, why am I doing this? Why am I working so hard, grinding so hard? I'm not seeing the results. And so what I want to do is ask each of you on those days, especially the days that string together and it's a couple bad days in a row, how do you personally get your energy up to do business? And is there something that you can give as a tip to somebody who's listening? I'm going to let Damian start because he finished off the last round.
Yeah, that's always tough. When you can have quite a few bad days in lending, because especially now I can do a lot of work for one client and get them completely pre-approved, and they cannot find a house or get a house accepted for weeks or months, and that can get you down. It can definitely get them down. But then that one spark, they get that house, we get the loan closed, they moved into this amazing, especially first-time home buyers, they love it, and just that one day can wipe out that last 30 days of negativity in a second. But I always look back at the reason that I'm doing this, and that's for my family. And then, when the kids come home from school and I've had a bad day and, want to throw it in and, see them, and I'm like, right, come on, next day, let's move on.
Right. I love it. That's Moxie for you. Paula, how about you?
Yeah, so like Damian was saying, it is going back to your why. Why are you doing this? What is your passion for wanting to do what you do? And when you have those bad days, one thing it's about acknowledging them, being aware that you're having the bad day, and just giving yourself that grace and space to say, okay, it's a bad day, but we know that there are better coming. What are we going to do today to get, like Damian was saying, a little bit of that spark to just get you going through the day? And so that could be thinking about, number one, your why, thinking about the impact that you have on people and why you want to do the job and why you initially started the business or the company or selling the service. So you really just step away from the bad and focus on the good to give you that motivation and strength to keep going.
Right. I fully agree. I mean, in my book, I talk about that too. When people want to get, organized, I'm like, you have to have that vision. Think about the why, and it'll keep you going. Like, really, how do you want your space to look like, and then, print it out, take a look at it, keep that vision going. Same with my business. Like, I need to have the reason why I do this, because I change people's lives, and when I look back on some of those testimonials, it keeps me motivated because I know that I've done so much good for other people, and I just love helping others, and that keeps me motivated.
Absolutely. So the common thread I'm hearing is dive into your why. Why are you showing up? What is the impact you're having? Whether it's that first-time home buyer, whether it's a clean and organized house. For us, we work with entrepreneurs to reclaim their time and energy while maximizing their profits. So that's the impact that they have, and they have the time to enjoy what it is that they're doing. So diving into that why, and then I'm going to leave you right before the break with my go-to. And when I'm really low energy, I change my physiology to change my psychology. What does that mean? I get up and I move. Y'all know, I talk about this all the time. I'm playing my favorite jams and dance like nobody's looking. And it just gets the blood flowing, and it's impossible to stay negative when you're playing your favorite music, dancing like nobody's watching, and the energy is up. So whatever you heard, whatever might be something that you want to latch onto, I encourage you to write that down and think about how you can incorporate it in your day. And we'll be back in just a few moments.